As a new grandparent, sitting with my grandson Colin and helping him through that process of learning to tie his shoes. Just sitting there with patience, trial and error, even trying the old-fashioned way, how I used to learn to tie my shoes, the two strings up, you tie it and make a bow and tie it again. And when you look at Colin's progression and the expectation, the support, come on, Colin, you can do it, you got it, that's right, okay, well, maybe not a little bit, just a little bit over here, keep doing it, Colin. And just watching Colin develop those skills. Now, he wasn't successful initially by a long shot. I mean, just sort of roll the strings together and kind of say, look, Papa. And then slowly he would pull the two strings up and at least cross to make that first tie. And that was a big step for Colin, big step for me sitting there watching him get that far. And then the big critical, the high level skill, which is making the little bow and holding it still while you take the string with your left hand. I mean, I didn't realize when I was growing up all the skills and the difficulties and the challenges of learning to tie your shoes. It's fine motor skills, gross motor skills. It's manipulating your fingers. I didn't think of it that way. I just thought of it as you sit down, you take two strings, you pull them together, etc. But there were two things going on. One, the constant praise, and having the expectation that Colin will learn to tie a shoe, because they say, oh, okay, this, we'll keep trying, we'll get there, we'll make that happen, Colin. And so one day, unbeknownst to me, he was watching Nick Jr., some kind of TV program, and he said, Papa, watch this. And he starts to put his strings together. But he had a rhythm that I didn't introduce to him. I mean, he got this rhythm. He said, Papa, you make an X, because he knew what an X was, because he was in preschool. Then he said, you make two bunny rabbit ears. Two bunny rabbit ears? I mean, so he said, make two bunny rabbit ears and you make another X. And I said, I be darned. And voila. I mean, his first tie was kind of loose, but all the fundamentals were there. And I was rejoicing for a number of reasons. One, he kept trying on his own because there was high expectation from his papa and others that he's going to learn to tie his shoes. He just didn't learn to tie his shoes when Papa wanted him to tie his shoes, but he was making good progress, and I could tell, Nana could tell, his mama could tell, his dad could tell, but eventually he learned to tie his shoes and was so good at tying shoes, he wanted to tie Papa's shoes, Nana's shoes, everybody's shoes when he first learned how to tie his shoes. So he was really excited, and everybody was excited for him. And when I think about education in America, and education particularly here in Charlotte, North Carolina, because I grew up in Charlotte, because I went to the public schools in Charlotte, and because I was on the school board, and education has been a big passion of mine for years, I was kind of reflecting on what we all want for our children. We want them all to know and be able to tie their shoes. And when you think back to Colin and my experience with him, there were a couple things that really stood out. First of all, high expectations. I mean, everywhere his papa said, you're going to learn to tie your shoes. His Nana said, you're going to learn to tie your shoes, no problem. His mommy, you're going to learn it, no problem. His dad, no problem. Everybody around Colin when the discussion of tying your shoes came up was nothing but positive phrases and words of encouragement and support. It was like a community, college community of support, that you're going to learn to tie your shoes. So high expectations was everywhere. And we have high expectations in this community for all children, whether they come from the projects, they are from Ballantyne, upper end, lower end, middle end. This community really embraces the notion that children will, despite Velcro, will learn to tie their shoes. And so the resources are there, both from family and friends to help learn to tie your shoes. The analogy would simply be, what about the ABCs? What about computation, learning how to add and how to subtract? I mean, the same kind of value and expectations that all parents have about their children's learning is exhibited throughout this community. One of the concerns is at some point, and I don't think with Colin it would ever have occurred that we would simply say, well, just learn to tie your shoe on your own, Colin. Just, figure it out as best you can, or come back to me later. Somewhere along the line, I think here, we have decided that, our expectations for some of our Collins is not the same for other Collins. That is to say, that high expectation that you will learn to tie your shoes is just not there for some Collins. And I think that is a problem. I think the other piece is the constant encouragement, where the community is embracing the notion that you will learn and you will do. For example, what you should know and be able to do. I had no idea that making an X and making 2 bunny rabbit ears and then making another X was a way. So kids learn differently. They learn at different times. But as a community, what we have to do is be able to give youngsters those various opportunities to demonstrate their skills and their knowledge.